mean, I know this is, morning time for you. How are you with mornings? I guess is what I'm trying to ask, because I feel like for what we do, that can go one of two ways.
I wouldn't say I'm like the biggest morning person, like people who get up super early to go running and stuff. Like I do that sometimes, but it's a lot of effort. Yeah. Whereas staying up till 3 or 4 a.m. is like not a problem. I've just always been a night owl. I'm sure, it's just like part of the job, but I just love the nighttime. I don't know, I love mornings, but I also love like the dead of night. Like
me too. I mean, have you been that way since you were a kid? Because for me, since I was like the second I hit my teen years, it was the same way. I just loved the nighttime, and it wasn't even that it was a choice to stay up. I was just up,
Yeah. Yeah, I just always remember I would always be in my room, and I just loved the fact that everyone else was asleep and I wasn't. I don't know. It's so peaceful.
Yeah, dude, 100%. I still feel that way even now, and I'm not as much of a night owl, but I'll still push it a little bit just because, those last couple hours of the night, even if you have a really busy day and it's hectic and maybe a bunch of stuff is going wrong, all of that, for me, those last couple hours of the night, it doesn't matter what happened before. You can just, it's your time.
That's right. Yeah. Anyway.
Or we're out at a club and it's absolute chaos, but that's fun too. So where are you in Australia? Are you in Sydney?
I'm in Brisbane.
Oh, Brisbane. Okay.
Yeah. I'm one of the few producers. Well, I say that, but now there's like a bunch of people who are working on electronic stuff in Brisbane, but hasn't always been that way. It used to be like, you had to move to Sydney or Melbourne if you wanted to like make it in music, which, a lot of people I know like just did because it just seemed like the natural thing to do. But now it's pretty good. We've actually got some sick producers in Brisbane now, and they've some of the more successful ones recently built like a big bunch of studios, which has been like a communal hub for people to go and like meet up and work on stuff and feel like you're really cool in a treated studio and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's great, man. Yeah. Is it, who's doing that? Is it anyone I would know?
So there's a few. Dominic Felsman, I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he does like a lot of writing for like big like EDM acts, like the big kind of like European kind of stuff. Right. The guy, his name's Constantine. I don't know his last name actually, but he produces for a lot of bands and stuff, but he's actually the guy. Well, I don't know how many people are involved on the record, but one of the people involved with Dance Monkey by Tones and I.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So there's like a few different like cool characters there. The Kite String Tangle, if you've ever heard of him, he's like an Aussie icon. I don't know. It's really cool. They just like pulled all their money together, and now like little bums like me can just like go and use the space from time to time and go and meet everyone. And it's a nice switch up from being in my room, which you can see is a little bit of a mess right now. There's just an air conditioner in the corner.
Right.
It looks like it's in disarray because it is. But
dude, it's all good. I mean, this is, I have my camera frame, so you're not really seeing that much, but it's not that much different.
Yeah, it's something, all right. What if I move this way? My tools.
Yeah, nice. Now we got the tools going on. Nice.
I was recently treating my room, so I built a bunch of panels and some bass traps and everything.
I mean, for you, why didn't you follow the herd to Sydney? What was that staying in Brisbane for you?
I mean, I love living up here. It's like a little bit cheaper than everywhere else, and I don't know. Like, I guess it's the same like in America as well. Like some people think you like have to live in LA or you have to live in New York. Obviously there's positives to it, but I think if you're a producer, like a lot of the stuff you don't really necessarily have to meet with people in person. And I don't know. It's just fine. I'm just happy with my own company, and like I'm just here grinding away and just making really weird things. And I don't know, like I think maybe I would have accelerated my career a little bit if I'd gone and met more people and learned some stuff, because like the last US tour I did, I went and met up with a bunch of people. Like, long story short, he was like based in New York at the time when I was over there, and he just like showed me so much stuff, and I was just mind blown, like how much I learned in like 3 days of hanging out with him. At the same time, when you're kind of isolated, you form your own techniques, I guess. So
absolutely, yeah.
Showing him a lot of the way I do things, he's like, bro, that is just bizarre, but it works. So I guess it must work for you.
I mean, I think there's something to what you're saying, man. I was just earlier today, I was talking to, I don't know if you know the dubstep guy, Spag Heddy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was talking to him, and he's Dutch, but he lives in Spain. And he was saying that kind of the same thing, that he sometimes would feel isolated from like the bigger dubstep scene, but that he thinks sort of because he was a little isolated, he could develop his sound in isolation a little more, be a little less influenced by the trends of it. And he was saying, it's pluses and minuses, but he probably wouldn't sound the way he does if he had moved to a bigger city.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I guess back in the earlier times before there was so much like online collaboration, like just the diversity in people's like individual sounds was, well, I found at least, it's probably because my scope of listening was probably pretty narrow back then, but like so many different artists, I was like, oh my God, this is so different from this and this and this. And then I guess now kind of like it's more of particularly in house music, there's a lot of similarity, I guess, a bit of a meta, as you would say.
Yeah.
So, maybe that is from online collaboration, or maybe that's just like, how easy it is to access other people's sounds and samples and whatnot, or
yeah. And I mean, for someone like you, who I think all your tunes are interesting and unique, like you said, maybe you have some sort of self-taught techniques or just ways you do it that makes the end result sound a little different or sound a little more just like you. But then, I think about like a recent tune you had, like Left to Right, which ended up being, I think, a big tune for you and ended up fitting into, if we're calling it the current meta of house music, very well. Is that like a funny moment when you sort of accidentally intersect with the bigger trends?
Well, actually, I made that song on Twitch, and it was kind of meant to be a joke because we were just chatting about the current trend of house music, where I was calling it surprise house, where like the build would just go forever. And
yeah.
Just simply because the build was so long, when you finally had that release, you're like, what? Like, what is going on? Which is why I was like, you know what? Why don't we just do that? But just like to the power of 10, make the build twice as long as everyone else and make it so that there's no drums in the build. So you just get completely lost.
Yeah.
And then just drop the beat out of nowhere. So I guess that's why it like fit into the meta a little bit, fit into people's sets. But, since the success of that track, I've kind of realized that maybe you need to find a middle ground between having something that's cool and unique, but also playable for people that like won't just be like a random like thorn in the middle of people's sets, I guess.
Do you are you saying that's what you feel like Left to Right is a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's like pretty playable. It like.
I mean, a ton of people played it, are still playing it.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I really didn't used to think too much about the impact of like other people playing my music, but now I've kind of realized like, oh, zing, like you can just build a track well before it's even released, which I guess is like also a thing that's like a big deal these days. It's the kind of the anticipation of a track versus once it's actually out.
Dude, it's almost more the thing, the anticipation, you know? Like
I think so.
that's a common complaint you'll hear these days, is that you can get all this, if you're really promoting it and pushing it hard, you can get all this engagement, you get all this buzz, you can get people really excited if you do it the right way. But then once it comes out, it's like it's gone, you know? There's like no tail to it.
Yeah, that's right. Like, I feel like it definitely, you have those couple weeks once it's out, and then it's just like, well, guess I'm not mentioning that ever again.
I mean, it's tough, man, because there's just so much noise. Like, there's so much going on, so much coming out, so much begging for people's attention. I don't know. It's an interesting question, because I talk a lot on this show about how to break through the noise, and especially for like younger artists, up and coming artists, how to stand out, that kind of thing. But one thing I don't talk about a lot is that the tail, like after the release, once you get to the point of the release, because that's a whole different game too.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, and there's also there's a whole like untapped audience of people who like probably never even heard it. And you're like, there are a few older tracks of mine that like people will come up to me afterwards and be like, oh, what was that song or whatever? And they're like, oh, I didn't realize that song was like 3 or 4 years old. So it's like, how do you find like the balance between the hype of the release, but then also like, maybe chiming in every once in a while, like, hey, this is in my discography. It's actually still a good track.
I think there's something to that now that you're saying it. And I think that's actually maybe a smart way to think about this kind of thing, is rather than getting discouraged about you put something out and then you feel like it just disappears and doesn't have much of a life. I think maybe the idea is to look at it more as sort of a rotating selection of what you have to offer, and maybe be a little less hesitant or less ashamed to talk about some of your older stuff, right? Because I think people's attention spans are so quick now. And I see this all the time. Somebody will post a video of them playing a song and people are like, oh my God, what is this? When is this coming out? And it'll be like a song that came out a year ago,
Yeah.
Like, I think that's actually a good idea. It's like, why not repost, stuff you've done in the last couple of years periodically, just to get it back out there, because somebody's always going to miss it the first time around in 2023.
That's right. And there are so many random songs that just like some TikTok influencer or something just like uses it again in one of their videos. And then it's like, the thing is like viral again. It's like, well, maybe we should encourage each other to just like, randomly just, I don't know, make another post about it, or
I think so.
Chime in, just say, hey, this actually, I still think this is really cool.
Dude, good music is good music. That's the thing, and sometimes, honestly, this is a nice conversation, because this makes me feel more optimistic than this conversation usually does for me, because now it's like, well, if you put out a song and say just the stars aren't aligned and the timing is wrong, or the push is wrong, or somebody else comes out on the same day and it's a bigger push, whatever it is, it's like, well, it's not actually your only chance to nail it. You can just, push it again in a couple months and see what happens. And this is funny. Not enough people are doing this. Now that we're talking about this, I'm like, why isn't everybody doing this?
I mean, if there's any like up and coming producers listening right now, like all my biggest tracks all like kind of didn't really do anything off the bat except for Left to Right. Like all my biggest streaming songs just at first were just kind of like, oh yeah, didn't get put in that many playlists, or, it wasn't like, wow, we got 300,000 plays in 2 weeks or something like super crazy like that. All of them have just been really big growers from just people finding it, adding it to their own playlists, and then people just listening to it over time, like, and actually building up solid numbers.
Which, by the way, is going to be a more solid foundation to do it that way than having the big pop at the start, like that. Those are people who will stick with you.
That's right. That's like why I've never, up until now, I've never really thought too much about how important the like hype of a release is. Usually it would just be like, hey, this is out. And I wasn't really too phased if it popped off at first or if it didn't, because if I thought it was good, usually I look back in a year or two and it would have a decent number of streams. And I don't know if that's just like luck or if that's just, I've got a really awesome fan base of people who will just genuinely chime in and scope it out. But yeah, so it's definitely been interesting moving into this realm of IDs. Man, people just love IDs.
They do, man. I mean, that's timeless though. Like that even goes back to, dub plate culture and like early like 90s drum and bass shit, all of that. It was all about having, the couple physical copies of a new record that nobody else had. And that was the only way you could get it. I mean, that's, people just want what they can't have,
That's right. And I think like now more than ever, it's like awesome to have IDs because it's like part of the experience of actually going out and you can hear something that you genuinely can't hear somewhere else, which is, I think is pretty cool. I feel like the internet has just taken almost everything these days. But the IDs, hey, that's one thing that we can kind of hold on to.
Oh man, absolutely.
As a real life thing.
Yeah. Well, because I think we're so conditioned now as consumers, just as people on the earth, that whatever we want, it's a click away. Like there's not a lot of scarcity anymore as far as art and consumption and all that kind of thing goes. So you got to manufacture that scarcity. You got to do it. Like there's got to be a reason for people to keep up with you. And part of that, I think, is the fact that, they can only come to you to hear this new secret thing that you have,
Yeah. It's fun as well, especially when you're a big fan and you go to like, a few years ago, I saw Chris Lake when he came to Brisbane and I was like, what is this song? Like, just like tried to Shazam it, doesn't show up. I'm like, it has to be an ID. Like, it's so sick. And it like turned out it was like some unreleased Duke Dumont track. It was like Red Light, Green Light or something. I was like, what is this track? Yeah. And I was just buzzing about it for like 2 weeks. I was like, I need to know what it is.
Dude, and that's that's fun, Like I love that feeling. I love the feeling of being like, holy shit, what the fuck is this? And you can't, it sucks in the moment that you can't get it right away. But like, I kind of love that because then it's in the back of your mind. You're like, when can I get it? How am I going to get it? And then when you finally get it, it feels so much better. I mean, that experience, man, it's like, it's fun for us. But then if we can give that experience to the wider audience, I think that's kind of the secret,
Yeah, that's right. I mean, also you feel really smart when you kind of like, an ID that it's unreleased.
Yeah.
And you can like hear it coming and you're like, guys, this is like unreleased anti-up or something. You're like,
you can be the cool person in your group, yeah. or just the annoying nerd who knows everything, one or the other.
Yeah, I think I'm more on the annoying side, but
yeah, I've definitely been there myself from time to time. I mean, dude, but what we're talking about, this kind of fun, like back and forth, it's playful and it's always existed. Like I think this is on my mind because I just read this like an hour ago, but I don't know if you saw this, but apparently Pioneer is acquiring Serato.
Oh,
which is, big. Wow. Big news for like DJ software world. This just happened today. I just read about it like an hour ago.
Wow, that's actually crazy.
Isn't that nuts?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And so I was thinking about Serato historically, and I was a Serato user for a long time, and I had close links to the company, and I did some projects with them, all that kind of thing. And Serato, to bring it back to this ID conversation, I don't know if you used it or if you remember this, but DJ AM, RIP, was famous DJ who was kind of like the first celebrity DJ in a way, and an incredible DJ, just a huge talent. They made a special DJ AM mode that was sort of a secret key command in Serato, and if you enabled it, all it would do is on the screen, it would just black out the name of the artist and the track. So that anytime he was playing at a club, nobody could see all of the IDs that he was playing. Like it just wouldn't show up on the screen. It's like little pieces of lore like that, man. I just love that. It's so fun. So stupid, but it's so fun.
I love that. I think that's a great idea. I mean, usually all my own ideas just have like a really, it's just whatever I called it when I exported it at the time. So, you know, maybe instead of blacking it out, I can just call it like sick wub track 52.
Right. Yeah. You have your own little language for it that nobody else knows. I like that.
I kind of like the idea of just blacking out the track name though. Pioneer should bring that to the CDJs.
I mean, I'm saying they just acquired Serato, so now they have the people who did it, you know?
They know the tech.
Yeah.
Give us more Easter eggs on the CDJs. That's what I say.
Please, man.
Just straight off the bat. Let me just like plug my USB in and it like, I don't know, changes the waveforms to like Tiesto's head or something. Like, I don't know.
Straight up. I would love that.
Just something super, super random. Like, please.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, we got to bring a little fun back. I feel like the DJ booth used to be a lot more chaotic and a lot more could go wrong, but it also used to be more fun. We got to bring some little silliness back to the booth, you know?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, recently, like I posted some videos of a big set that I played, and I don't know, for some reason, I just wasn't using deck 2 of 4, and you know that in itself caused a whole conversation with people arguing why I wasn't using that deck in particular. And I was like, I don't know. I only had 3 USBs and it looked more sus than the others. But, you know, I would love if we can just throw really strange things on there so people can be like, bro, why did you like change the CDJ to like Minecraft mode or something? Like,
dude,
give me something.
If we're going to have 4 CDJs, at least let me play games on one of them, you know?
Yeah, that's right. You're exactly right. I mean, look, little mini racing game, perhaps. We've got a steering wheel right there.
Ooh, I like this.
Maybe the pitch fader could be the acceleration.
Yeah. And then the like the forward reverse is the little brake. Yeah, I think we're cooking.
I think
here,
we're onto
man.
something.
Yeah.
We're cooking. Oh, there's so many things.
I mean, yeah, and Lord knows we're not really working hard up there, so we got plenty of time. Like, let's just make it fun for ourselves.
Oh, that's right. It does everything for you. I thought. I mean, I've just been pressing play and jumping around. I don't know what you've been doing.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, I didn't even think of jumping. I've just been standing there. It's kind of boring.
Just standing and staring at the person.
Yeah, just wait
at the front.
Just waiting for it to be over, man. You know?
Yeah, dude. I'm just waiting for the money to hit my bank account. Hey, once that happens, I'm out of there. Sorry, Set's finishing early.
That's good. It's good we're having these conversations, man. People really need to know the realities of the DJ game.
Oh, it's so hard. It's just so difficult.
Man. Well, so wait, I want to go back to something you were saying earlier, that for you, a lot of the songs you put out didn't catch on right away, were kind of slow burners. And I don't know if these are the songs you're thinking of, but I was listening to some of your discography earlier, and I've been a fan for a long time, but some of the songs that stuck out to me the most and still do are some of the more like melodic, cinematic tunes of yours, songs like Bad Moon or Wide Open. And are those some of the ones, this is just me guessing, but are those some of the ones that took a little longer to catch on, but kind of gained a fan base over time?
Yeah. I mean, like some of those tracks are definitely my more requested songs. You know, even though Wide Open, like stream wise, it's definitely not one of my best performing tracks by like a significant amount. Yeah, like Bad Moon at first, like it didn't really do crazy numbers or anything, but you know, over time it's like it's just growing and just growing and growing. And yeah, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because like melodic stuff has definitely like a replayability to it when you're in like a particular mood. But versus just like hectic club stuff might not necessarily be everyone's cup of tea at every point of the day, unless you're a weirdo like me who is just just listening to the same music 24/7,
just mainlining hard style at 8 a.m.
Oh yeah, oh man, the techno gets me up in the morning, gets the blood pumping.
It does. But no, I think there's something about those tracks too where I wrote down some of this because I couldn't figure out exactly. I couldn't put my finger on why I like those songs so much. And I think part of it is that they're a little unique in terms of they follow a form, right? And there's like, as dance music listeners, we're sort of conditioned to know what's coming next. If you hear a build going, it's going into a drop, that kind of thing. But the way you do it on those tracks and a bunch of others as well, there's something very specific to you that just the way you do it is a little different. There's like with those tracks, it's an intimate feeling song for being such a sort of big cinematic, expansive sound palette. The end result to me was a little more intimate. I don't know if that connects with you, but that was sort of my experience of it.
Yeah, I mean, I never really thought about it like that, but yeah, I guess I like when I go to write any of these tracks, I'm not really thinking about anything in particular. I just like want to make it just feel vibey.
Yeah.
But then my inner DJ kicks in and I'm like, I need to make it clubby. And so you just end up with that. I don't know however you described it, that sounded quite apt, but that's all it really is. I'm just like vibes. All right. Let me just like make it dancey somehow, add a doofy kick.
Well, so I totally connect with everything you're saying and you're doing it the right way, right? Like when you're making music, you shouldn't be totally overthinking these decisions and it shouldn't sort of be overanalyzed in the moment. But I do think that what ends up coming out is in some way reflective of you, the person, you, the artist. Like it's a unique perspective that, only you could make those songs. Nobody else could make them exactly the same way. And so this is kind of a woo-woo question, and it's totally fine if it doesn't go anywhere. But, in putting out music and seeing people's reaction to it, especially songs that are slow burners that people sort of gravitate to over time, have you had any reflections on yourself, either you as a person or you as an artist, or how you make music or what it means? Because if you're sitting there saying, I just want it to be vibey, and then you're like, but I should put a drop in, any of that, all of those, even those creative decisions, I think all come from somewhere, something inside. Like, I guess the sort of like therapy question of it is like, has putting out music, have you figured out anything about yourself as a person or a creator?
Yeah. I mean, I think over the last few years, especially, now that I've made more of a career out of this, I've kind of realized that for me personally, the bigger purpose to all this is that these days we're so incredibly lucky with the amount of tools and sounds and everything that we have at our disposal. Like I often think back to like musical ancestors, so to speak, and like what limited gear and stuff that they have and how those same people would react today if they could be sent forward in time.
Yeah.
To see like, oh my God, like you have access to literally every sound, like any sound basically, like that across the entire the entire world. Like we have access to that. I feel like almost like a moral responsibility to like do my best to make things that are unique and at least push the boundaries a little bit in, maybe it's in the arrangement or in like sound design or something like that. If if I can continuously like just do something that I feel is unique, even in the smallest bit, that's my contribution to the world of music.
Yeah, dude, I
And
like that. Yeah.
that's always something that's like pressing on my mind is like, you know, I'm sure I could just make tracks that are just good songs, but there's not that like spice in there. So I'll like intentionally have to like mess with it and maybe make a lead that actually doesn't sound quite as good, but at least it's different.
Dude, yeah. And I mean, there's something really important about what you just said, I think, you know, something that maybe doesn't sound as good, but it's unique. And I think that goes to some of the sort of intimate feeling I was getting from some of your tracks too, is like, you know, it sounds that unique sound because it's dirty or because it's imperfect. I connected with it more, you know, and I think that's a lesson anybody could take out of this conversation, right? It's like, it doesn't, the goal shouldn't be perfection. The goal should be sort of the strongest feeling that you can get out of it.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, also like meeting people now and like seeing how badly I've been like mixing and mastering stuff. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff that I just didn't know that you can do. But like in some of these people that I've like learned from, I'm like, yeah, your tracks are like super, super clean and like perfect, but I'm not getting the like uniqueness. It just sounds like too clinical, I guess.
Absolutely. And I mean, yeah, you can be, I guess the analogy would be, you know, you could be the most well-spoken, intelligent person with an insane vocabulary, but if you don't have anything interesting to say, who cares, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right, I guess. So I'm trying to like teach myself to like not stress so much about the mix. I mean, there's a lot of imposter syndrome that happens because like now that I'm starting to get booked for like pretty decent festivals, I'm like looking at some of the other artists on there. I'm like, my music sucks compared to that. Like my mix, I'll be like, let me just listen to mine. All right, now let me go and A/B it with this track. Okay,
Yeah.
I need to just completely scrap it.
But I would push back on that a little to say that the reason you're getting booked on these shows now is because, again, there's something unique about what you're doing. So it's, of course, we could all be better, and you know, we all want to keep learning and evolving and all that, but you got to hold on to whatever that weirdness is about yourself. And when I say yourself, I mean all of us. You know, it's like you cannot lose that. That's the most important part, I think.
Yeah, you're so right. Like it's I feel like I have to have the same internal conversation like every couple of months or so.
Of
Just
course.
like, all right, just don't worry about it. It's worked for you this far. Just like don't stress about like the next track having to be as bigger than the last or things like that. Just make stuff because you think it's cool, and that's like just keep doing that.
100%. And then, you know, go to the festival and smash the show. I mean, that's sort of the beauty of the festivals, right? Is that everybody's on the same stage, more or less. You know, it kind of flattens that level of like better, worse. And it's all about, you know, just show up and smash the show. And if you can do that, you're good, you know?
Yeah, exactly right.
Well, how did you get to making music? What's the origin story as far as, you know, you becoming the producer you are now? Like, were you musical as a kid?
No, not really. Like I've always been really good at maths and stuff like that. So like we have a thing called the OP system here, which is like what is it, like your score for going into uni or whatever?
There's two.
So,
for in the US, it's either SATs or ACTs. But
okay.
it's the same thing. It's like standardized testing, basically.
Yeah. So like I pretty much all the subjects that I did were all focused around getting the best scores and stuff like that. So I didn't really do much music stuff up until, how old was I? Probably like 16 or 17. My mum was running a talent show at the school and she asked me to be the MC because she thought I was like half decent at public speaking. which I wasn't. But anyway, one of the judges, Alan Casey was his name, and I think he still runs it, a mobile DJ service. He's like, hey, you can like talk on a microphone. Do you want to be a mobile DJ as a job? I was like, sweet, sounds good. So he gave me like these speakers and stuff, and it came with two like DVD players to play music off.
Right.
And after like one show of like 18th birthday or something of trying to do that. Oh no, it was a 40th birthday of doing that. I was like, nah, I'm pretty sure there's something better than this. So I got like a little tractor controller for my laptop, and then was like DJing with that. And then that was going well. And then I don't even know how this guy contacted me, but this guy was doing underage rave events, and I was like, sick, that sounds like so much fun. Meanwhile, it was actually just an opportunity for him to use us as free labor.
Of course.
Like none of us got paid anything, but we're like driving around just selling tickets to people and all this kind of stuff.
How big of these parties were, or sorry, how big were these parties?
Some of them were pretty big, actually. Like, I don't know how they did it. I mean, it's probably back before like you would get cracked down for running events and like having to monitor if kids have alcohol on them or stuff like that. But some of them had like 400 people. It was also around the time of Project X as well.
Oh, when Project X. Wow, I hadn't thought about that in a while.
Some of these like young kids were throwing their own like massive events, and like it was getting on the news and stuff like that, like open house parties and blah, blah, blah.
And wait, what was Project X? I'm trying to remember. Was it a movie first, or was it
it was. I think it was just like a movie, and then that inspired the kids to like throw their own stupid DIY events. But I played a few of the underage events, and I was like, you know what? Now that I've done that, why don't I like try to make some mashups? And I was like, sweet, I learned how to make a mashup. What if I learned how to just like make a song? And I remember I was like showing the guy who ran these events, I showed him this like fat EDM, like big room track. And he's like, yeah, this is like super, super sick. And I was like so flattered. I was like, oh, I better like try again. And then like the second song I finished or something got signed to Central Station Records. So that was, this track is terrible, but the A&R, Archie, he's my manager still to this day. So,
oh, wow.
That's how I got started, with just like a bit of luck, I guess.
Well, so two questions on that. One, how did you just teach yourself how to produce over time? And second question, how did anyone hear these songs? Like, were you sending them out to labels? How did that happen?
Basically, I taught myself over maybe like one uni holiday. So like once I started uni, maybe like first or second year, the summer break is like a pretty long time. And like I was living with my parents, so I didn't really need to get a second job like with the DJ gigs and stuff on the side. So I just taught myself like the basics probably in like 2 or 3 months. And then I was playing a show on the sunny coast, and this guy up there who was running one of the events that I played at, he just like, I showed him the track and he's like, oh, maybe you could get it signed. I'll just like send it to my friend. So yeah, that's basically how that got started. Yeah, I don't know. It just kind of happened, and call it like me being lazy, but a lot of stuff in my life just like kind of just happens. Like I just work with passion at whatever I'm doing at the time, and then things just seem to happen. It's not necessarily by design, but it's worked out so far.
I think that's a good sign to keep following the things you're passionate about, right? Because there's plenty of people who, have activities they enjoy or hobbies that they're passionate about that maybe don't get that sort of validation with it. And so to me, it's like when you do get that validation, or when you do realize that something's working, to me, it's like, oh, well, I might not have known it. It might not have been a plan, but I was on the right path,
Yeah. I mean, I look back now, I'm like, well, I'm glad that I went down that path because like I love what I do. I love all the people that I've met, and I kind of just try to follow anything that interests me now because it's just worked so well to this point. So like lately I've been binge watching videos about like AI music tools and things like that, and
Oh yeah.
that's been really interesting. And I've learned some pretty cool things from that. So hopefully that's of use to me at some point. But
That's good. It's going to be a thing, man. And I mean, I definitely, people you and I both know, there's a bunch of people excited about it. There's a bunch of people angry about it. I mean, but either way, I think it's unstoppable. I mean, it's going to be a part of what we do at some point,
Yeah, I'm just excited. This is like not a sponsored post or anything like that, but I'm just excited for this, like the Apple Vision Pro. I just want it to work so well that I could be standing in my lounge room or somewhere and just controlling everything with hand gestures, just flying through Ableton, just vibing out anywhere.
Just doing the
That's
Minority
what I'm excited
Report.
for in the future.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
doing the
that's right.
Minority Report sliding panes over. Yeah,
that's right. I'm like I'm not sure how far off that actually is, but in terms of future tech, that's pretty much the one thing that that I really want. Like, I just love the idea of not having to use a mouse. Like, oh.
Yeah, I can see that, man. And I think that's actually maybe the first good argument I've heard for those glasses. Because to me, the idea that everyone's going to wear something that fucking big and stupid looking and walk around with them all day, it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That's just not going to happen. But for, a creative application, if you're sitting at home, if you're sitting in an office or a studio, then I can totally see it. If it just makes your workflow better, makes you more comfortable, that's actually an argument that makes a lot of sense to me.
I just want to play the air drums,
Yeah,
I just
you could definitely do that.
I mean, I'm sure it's not going to be anywhere near as good as that, but maybe like 5 to 10 years time, it'd be awesome. We'll just be hand gesturing everything. Like, I don't know. I'm just picturing it being like the fastest thing that's ever graced a music producer's studio. But anyway, enough.
Yeah.
No, I mean, about that.
No, dude. I mean, we could talk about this for a long time. It's super interesting. And I do think there will be lots of applications for all that kind of stuff. This is a little different, but I think next week or 2 weeks, I forget. I'm talking to DJ Fresh, legend DJ Fresh, and I didn't know this until recently, but he just put out some kind of, I don't know if he coded it or if he's just involved in the company, but he's sort of the figurehead for like a new AI software that is supposed to be, I guess he'll tell me if this is right or not. My understanding is it's kind of like the Splice model, but for like AI voices. So they partner with artists who like give them, an hour-long sample of those artists singing in all different ranges and styles and all that. And then people can basically have, anything re-sung by these artists through AI that's kind of been trained on their voices. But the artists get paid and they're credited the same way that you would if you sold a sample on Splice.
Wow. That is really cool. I mean, that's a great idea. I mean, super handy if you're like a younger producer with like limited resources, but you also maybe want to dabble in a bit more songwriting. Like that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I mean, I haven't used it. I don't know how well it works, any of that, but I don't know. It's like, that's my point, I guess, is that everyone seems to be engaging with it on some level, even if it's a negative reaction. And that sort of tells me that, it's going to be important one way or another.
That's right. I mean, I would never be the slightest bit worried about it, like taking jobs, because like even just using ChatGPT or anything like that, like you want it to give you some sort of like creative writing or things like that. And it's always just like, it's very stock standard. Like there's no there's like never any real flair to it. I'm like, well, we already have like a crap ton of like really decent generic music out there. So it's not like it's really working against you unless that's what you want to do. Like if what you want is just to do stock standard, yeah.
Well, I was going to say that's the one case where I could see somebody losing a job is say like catalog music for TV shows or something like that, or video games, or, you know, stuff that's just in the background. Some of that I could see an AI being able to do. I still think a human doing it would sound better and probably more engaging, but probably there will be some people who just want to go the cheap route, that kind of thing. So, you know, I can see it some, but I'm with you as far as I'm not particularly worried about it in a general sense, you know?
Yeah, look, and we're us creatives, we're smart. We're creative. We'll find a way to screw AI over if we need to.
That's right. Well, you know, we can learn how to make a virus, you know?
I'm sure there's enough creatives out there who can make it shameful.
Well, I mean, dude, that's going to happen so fast too. Cause already there was like that, you know, cause AI, if you train it on the internet, of course it becomes immediately racist, immediately sexist, immediately homophobic. So like, it's just going to start writing songs and it's going to get ugly real fast, you know?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, yeah, I'm sure we can make it uncool to listen to AI music. I mean, I already get guilt tripped for listening to Fisher, so you know, I'm sure people can do the same thing with AI tunes.
Well, okay, so that's actually interesting because to bring it back to what you do for a second, you know, that's another thing that interests me about your work is I think you occupy a space that can go from like super highbrow dance music to super quote unquote lowbrow, just like club banger kind of stuff. And I think you've done a good job of kind of having a foot in both worlds a bit. And
thank you.
Is that an intentional thing? Is that something you even think about?
I mean, I definitely think about it a lot because, as you might know, like sometimes you might play certain shows and you're like, wow, nobody here is like particularly focused on like the specifics. They're just like there for a good time. Like they just like, this is a banger. That's it. Whereas like sometimes, you know, there are people who are like, obviously really entrenched in, you know, your discography or things like that and blah, 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 blah. But yeah, sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I just want to make something really simple that just slaps. It, you know, maybe people will enjoy it in the club a couple of times, like that's it. And then other times I'm like, hey, this is something, you know, with a deeper meaning to it. I want to channel like this particular mood into this track. And it gets boring to just do one or the other. Like some days you want to just dumb yourself down and just write nothing but like bass lines and drum beats. And then other days you're like, damn, I really just like want to write some chords. Like I'm just feeling it.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I definitely try to like move with some direction, but not too much because otherwise I don't know. I really struggle with forcing myself to make a particular style on the day. Like I can force myself to work and just make music, but I don't think I can really force myself at all times to just be like, hey, today is like melodic house day. Like
today is leg day, you know?
Yeah, cause you just like start something, but then you got to like follow the path. Like it's like a puzzle, and then maybe at some point you'll be like, hey, what if I just like took out the techno rumble and added a chord instead or something, and just like bang, it's gone from this to that to whatever. Like,
yeah, that's right. I mean, you never know where something can end up, right? So it's sort of, I think that what you're saying is important, that you should always sort of follow whatever you're inspired by at the moment, whatever is fun to you in that moment, because even if that doesn't end up going anywhere, the result of it could sort of take you to a place that you weren't thinking about, or you could sort of re-inspire yourself later. And the only way any of that happens is that first initial spark of excitement.
That's right. I mean, and also like people who have worked with me in the studio before can attest to this. Like we might just be doing something and then like out of nowhere, I'll just be like, all right, let's just like completely like remove this whole section and just try this and just completely change the entire vibe of the track. Most of the time it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But every now and again it does. And you're like, damn, this wasn't meant to be a tech house track. This was actually meant to be like a speedy, I don't know what you want to call it, melodic banger. Like,
man. Yeah. No,
just random.
I wish I was more like that, man, because sometimes you're right. That can really pay off. And even if it doesn't, who cares? But yeah, I think I get too locked into an idea sometimes. And it's like you can't see the forest for the trees kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Where, I'll get too laser focused on it. And then, you can kind of just like wring all the fun out of something that way.
Yes. I mean, sometimes like I find myself I'm writing and then I'll like take a step back and be like, hey, what was like my original purpose with this? Like,
yeah.
Like I had this idea in my head and now I'm putting this down and this is nothing like I wanted it to sound.
Well, how much of what you make ends up on the cutting room floor? How much of what you make do you say this isn't, maybe I like this, but maybe this isn't an Odd Mob song?
I mean, the only things that I wouldn't release as Odd Mob is like kind of my more lo-fi cuts, I guess. But anything else, I'm like, well, I made it, so it's my music.
Yeah.
And people, I don't think people will get too confused if I just release whatever I want. I think people are pretty smart. Also, I've got to say shout out to Fred again and all the like people who have been kind of pushing a slightly more multi-genre kind of thing, because it's done wonders for people like me who could just play whatever in a set now and people will get around it.
Well, and it's all a cycle, man. I shout out to them, absolutely. And, the like Fred again, Skrillex Fortet, like world tour that they've been on for the last year. It absolutely has done wonders for that sort of thing. But I will say that's also how it used to be. Like it's all a cycle to me. Like it was, when I first got into it, you could play anything. Nobody cared if you were switching through genres, that sort of thing. And then, it got, in the height of the EDM like explosion, everybody wanted just one specific thing. And, everyone was very focused. Crowds were maybe less open-minded to sort of go back and forth. And I think it's opening up. I think just people get sick of stuff after a while. And whichever way it is, the pendulum swings back. And for me too, man, it's so much more fun to just be able to really cover a lot of ground.
Yeah. I mean, it's always the random tracks that I play that people always end up like talking about at the end. Like just throw a random like dubstep track in the middle of a set, like just a quick palate cleanser for everyone.
Of course. Yeah, you got to do it, man. And it's so much fun. I mean, even the like to talk about left to right for one more second, it's like the little Soulja Boy vocal that obviously like the whole thing is, but then you play more identifiable Soulja Boy vocals like later into the track. And even that is like such a fun little switch up, because for me, that boots my brain into like mashup mode. And all of a sudden it becomes like, I recategorize it when that part comes in, and I'm like, oh, this is like a fun party. Like you could play this anywhere now because everyone hearing it is going to have this like mashup, fun, like not what's the word I'm trying to say? Just I don't know. There's like a certain house party element,
Yeah, I can feel that.
Yeah, like to me, it's super smart to do it. Even if the original idea is kind of a joke, I think the way it ended up going, was there a thought, like once it picked up a little bit, you saw people liked it, how hard was it to clear the vocal? Like, was it ever a thought to, not have the sample in it?
I mean, at first it did tick in my mind. I was like, hey, what if I just got rid of the more identifiable bits at the end and then just get someone else to say left to right a couple times? Like,
yeah.
But, at the end of the day, I was like, to be honest, like the whole thing was inspired by that original sample. And I kind of felt that it would be wrong to try and like circumvent that. And I was like, you know what? I'll just keep the original flavor of what I was doing. We did like have to get it re-sung by someone else, but like, obviously he's still a credited writer and everything now.
Right.
So, and it really wasn't too hard.
Man, whoever you got to do
clear.
it did a good job, because it sounds like Soulja Boy.
Oh, well, it's a group from the UK, I think. I forget what they're called, Replay Heaven or something like that.
Oh,
But
nice.
they're really, really good. They're really, really good. I think we could have had his voice on the track, but it was just way more money than I could afford.
Yeah.
So, which is like completely fair. I mean, hey, who knows? Maybe in the future we could jump on a cheeky track together.
There you go, man.
I'll hit him up. Maybe if I can get myself to Dom dollar levels, and then I can start.
I mean, Soulja Boy is about his business. I think he'd be open to it. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm sure he would. I mean, if you've ever, do you go on Twitch much?
Yeah, for sure.
He does stream on Twitch quite a bit. There was a period where I was watching his streams quite a bit when he was playing old school RuneScape.
Nice.
And he was absolutely dripped out on the old Rooney. Like he had the gold plate body. He had like 15 other people in the game following him around at any one time. It was awesome.
I mean, I'm a big Soulja Boy fan, man. He's a trendsetter in many different ways.
Oh yeah, for sure.
My favorite is his video game console. Did you see that?
Oh, I did see that.
Yeah. where he was. And I love the fact that he just claims that he was the first one to do everything. That's a great quality too.
I did see that. It looked awesome. I kind of wish I got one.
I wish I had got one too. Supposedly it was not a high quality product, but honestly, that's not why I want the Soulja Boy video game console.
Yeah, I mean, it would just be a cool little talking piece.
Absolutely, man. Yeah.
Put it on the mantle next to my Pokemon cards.
Are you a Pokemon guy?
You were talking about limited supply earlier, and I've got some Pokemon cards. I've got a fair few.
Do you play or you just collect?
I just simply collect. If you ask me how the game actually worked, I have no idea.
Nice.
But I just love a bit of nostalgia. It's a hell of a drug, the old nostalgia. So
yeah.
I think my collection's probably worth like $800 or something now. So I'm quite proud of it. Yeah,
that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably my most flexy thing that I have. Like I'm usually pretty except for my MacBook. That's probably like my other most expensive goodie.
Yep.
Yeah. If anyone's listening and they want to send me some rare Pokemon cards, please feel free.
Dude, you got to get that. You got to get that out there so that, at the shows, people start bringing them to you.
Shoot me a DM. We'll, no, the one thing I do like about them is that, if you open one from a pack or something, you kind of like remember that experience. Or if like I've got some friends who are also into it, so like you get one as a gift, and it might not be worth much, but like it's got that memory attached to it.
Dude, I mean, we're coming back to these same things, man. It's like, because I used to play a lot of Magic the Gathering when I was a kid. And,
oh, yeah?
Oh, dude, hardcore. And I still love it. I don't really play or collect anymore, but I still love it. And that feeling of opening the pack, man, the potential, anything could be in there. It's kind of the same as like digging for ideas, Like,
yeah, it's very exciting.
Dude, it's like, today might be the day that it comes to me, Yeah.
I don't know if you saw recently, but they had a Lord of the Rings set for Magic the Gathering.
I saw they put it out. I didn't really look into it.
They had a one of one, the One Ring card.
I saw that. Yeah, they only made one.
Oh my goodness. So my a couple of weeks ago, my friend got married. I went to the wedding, and as part of their Bucks party, they were playing Magic the Gathering. and he bought a few booster boxes of the Lord of the Rings set, and sadly they didn't hit the one ring, but they did get a ring.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, apparently it was worth a fair bit, so they were all very excited.
Hey, that's great, man. I'll still every once in a while, like every couple of years, I'll get together with my old Magic friends and we'll buy a box or two and just play each other for a day or a weekend. It's the best.
Nice. I'm waiting till they start releasing DJ trading cards, because I would collect those in a heartbeat. Like, can you imagine like a super rare Diplo card?
Yeah, true. Like the foil hologram.
It's all gold and shiny. It's a one of one Diplo card.
I think somebody tried to do that with NFTs, but it was such a fucking stupid idea. It was dead in the water,
Damn. Look, I don't want NFTs. I want real cards.
I want the real shit. I'm with you. I was so mad. There's a total aside, but Alice in Wonderland, with her last album, she put out, she actually released her own role-playing game module. So it's like kind of a D&D style system, but it's actually like she released a whole module for it. So if I play a lot of D&D too. I'm a huge nerd. And, so if you have if you're inclined to play that kind of thing, it's like she actually put out a game that you could get a group together and play for, probably a whole weekend, go through it, all that kind of thing. And it's so sick. I was just mad that somebody beat me to it because it's such a good idea, man.
Jeez, that sounds awesome. I'll have to check that out. Yeah. I do play a bit of D&D here and there.
Oh, nice.
I'm not very good at it, but it's another thing. I just love, you can do it online, but also like getting together with people and doing anything.
Dude, it's better in person for sure. I have a group. I used to live in San Diego, and so I had a group I would play with every week there. And then we all moved to different parts of the world, and so now we play online, and it's still great because I still love those people. But yeah, man, nothing compares to the in person.
Yeah. Oh man, it's addictive. Something that I walked into, and I was like, you know what? This probably isn't for me, but I'll give it a try. And then within 2 sessions, I'm just absolutely just encapsulated by this whole thing. Like my friend who runs it, the DM, he's a wizard. Like he does it professionally. Like he works with kids on the spectrum and stuff like that. And they use it to help build their social skills. And he is literally a wizard. Like he does all the voices and everything. It's
the best. It's the best. Yeah. Having a good DM is huge.
It's given me more confidence to because me sitting there and being in absolute awe of him, just being so passionate and he's just going for it. He's not worried about it looking funny or any of the social embarrassment with doing a little gremlin voice or something for people. It's kind of inspired me as well to kind of be myself a little bit more, especially when I'm playing, and just accept that people will respect that.
Dude, let it rip. I'm with you. Yeah. I'm so with you on that. And I think it's, for what we do, we do a creative job. It's just another way to be creative. And I would argue that I think any little hobby like that, whether it's, something nerdy like that or, whatever, taking a hike, whatever it might be, all of that fuels back into when you sit down to do the actual creative job. When you sit down in the studio, I don't know, man. I mean, just what you were talking about, putting yourself out there more, not being afraid to put it out, not worrying how people are going to perceive it. Those are all lessons that you can apply to making music, Yeah,
that's right. Just shamelessly pursue whatever interests you. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be all right in the end. It's gonna turn out great. And even if it doesn't, hey, there's always next time, kiddo.
That's right. Make a new character, man. That's not a problem.
Exactly right. The D&D character gets burnt into an absolute crisp, That's okay. It's just like your track. If if those numbers just aren't adding up, there's always the next one.
Dude, I mean, I started off joking, and now I'm kind of on board with this analogy. It's like,
hey,
this actually makes sense. Yeah,
that's right. I mean, if you think about it, we were talking about tracks having a short lifespan or whatever earlier, but that can also work to your advantage. Like, hey, if it's going to have a short lifespan, then you don't have to worry that it's not perfect.
Dude, yes. Absolutely. Yeah, man. Have fun with it. Whatever the way you're having the most fun, just keep that rolling. Try to emphasize that. Try to have the most fun, whether that's, making a million songs and throwing them all out there, or, really focusing on a rollout. Whatever's fun for you, just fucking do it, because there's no right way.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there are so many acts that I love, like my favorite acts that release a lot of music. And like, I'll be honest, like, hey, I don't remember every single track. Like, I'm not a fan of every single track, but the ones that I am, like, hot diggity dog, sign me up.
Dude, I mean, podcasts are that way for me. Like, I'm a huge podcast listener, as well as like making this show every week. And it's the same way. Like, all the podcasts I subscribe to, I don't listen to every week, but I will follow them until I die, because I'm invested in the story that they're telling, Yeah.
Yep. I like that.
Yeah, man.
This is giving me even more confidence. Like, I'm sorry, guys, but I'm
back on my bullshit. I regret to tell you.
There's just I'm just oozing confidence. I'm like I'm like a finance major at college, like one of those absolute Chad Chaddingtons who
your chin is just growing bigger. Yeah,
it has. Like, I'm sorry, everyone.
No,
the music's only going to get worse from here.
Yeah, we're ruining careers one at a time.
There'll be no second guessing.
Well, okay, I have just very quickly, because we've been going for a while, but I wanted to make sure. Just last thing on Left to Right, the fact that you got the Space Laces remix out there, I thought was very cool.
Oh.
And I wanted to just very quickly ask about that, because that sort of seemed like a collision of two worlds that I didn't see coming.
That was like super random. Also, shout out to the people on Reddit. Somebody posted that remix, and then one of the top comments was like, how does like this Odd Mob guy have remixes from like all these big dubstep acts? Like, it makes no sense. And I had to like reply. I'm like, honestly, this is not planned. This is not like some Illuminati, big labeled, big money bullshit happening. Like, I remember I was at an Airbnb in Venice Beach, and my manager sends me an email, and he's like, "Yo, just got sent this." Mind you, my manager, he's a little bit older. So he's not like super in touch with dubstep or anything like that.
Yeah.
And he's like, yo, just got sent this. Pretty cool, but don't think it's right for our package, but let me know what you think. And I open up the email, and I see in the URL Space Laces. I'm like, I was like, Archie, what are you talking about? I open it up and I like instantly listen to it. I'm like, this is absolutely insane. This is like the greatest moment of my entire life.
Yeah.
And it just turns out he like made a bootleg or whatever for his sets, and he's like liked it so much that he considered putting it out. So didn't even have to like pay him a fee, I don't think, but he got a percentage of the track or something like that. Like, because I'm sure normally he would be quite expensive if you wanted to get like an official remix.
Yeah.
Even if he even does that. I don't know.
He doesn't do it much. I mean, that's one thing about him. Like, he does not put out a ton of stuff, especially remixes.
Like, to me, he is like, I look up to him a lot, because he seems like the kind of guy who is like, he's barely doing any sort of like cheesy social media stuff or anything like that. Like, he is just making heaters, kind of just like keeping to himself. Like, he's relatively quiet on the social front, just grinding away, making the sickest tracks known to man, making them all like 3 luffs or something. Like,
oh, he's insane. Yeah.
he's just a wizard, and it's my experience with this whole release just kind of reinforced the idea that he does stuff for the passion, and because he's just, it's not like I was paying him big bucks or anything to do a remix. Like, he just did it because he made it. He thought it was sick. He wanted to like put it out like that. That's like all that happened, and I was incredibly fortunate that it happened to be my track that he originally like made an edit of. So, shout out to Space Laces. I briefly got to meet him once in Kansas City. Like
He's a great dude. Super nice
transfer
dude.
bus. He was just like chilling. I think it was Schism or something. But at the time, the guy who runs who used to
Never
run
Say Die.
Yeah, I think,
That's Schism. Yeah.
Schism. Yeah, I think, and they were like sharing feedback about like his upcoming releases and stuff like that. And I was too shy to really say anything, but just hearing them talk about upcoming tracks and how like chill he was about everything. It seems like the loveliest dude ever. So
he's super nice, man. Yeah.
I'm just going to go out there and I'm just going to say I'm a huge Space Laces stan, if that's the right way to say it.
That is the right way. You nailed it.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's one of the best we have in terms of, because he nails both ends where he's technically pristine, but then also so fucking weird and making just crazy music. Like, the ideas are so far out there and the engineering is so dialed in. Very few people are on his level, man.
Yeah, that's right. That's he's contributing back to society by just like inspiring everyone.
100%. And yeah, he's a super sweet dude. I don't know him super well. We've only talked a couple times, but I hope he's okay with me saying this because I know he's kind of private, but it ties into what we've been talking about. He formerly was a pro or semi-pro Super Smash Brothers like tournament dude. Yeah, like former semi-pro video gamer.
I'm not surprised. I'm sure he's probably one of those people who like absolutely excels at every single thing he like applies his mind to. So, wow.
And again, it's just like following that passion, and it's I think I talk a lot about hobbies and passions on here, and it's like, I don't know, man. You dig deep enough into anyone who's making interesting music, and there's always like an interesting side thing to it, Yeah,
I'm sure we all just get super obsessed with something else, and it's usually video games.
Yeah, for a lot of people it is. Okay, before we get out of here, because I feel like I probably was supposed to talk about this more. We're supposed to talk about your new EP here for a second.
All right.
Which when does the EP come out? Because the single is already out, right?
Yep. So on the 21st, I believe. Wow, is it the 21st?
It's coming right up.
It's coming right up. Wait, let me just double check.
Like what, 10 days? It's the 11th today.
It's coming out soon. I'm like super excited. There's just 4 just rompers. Like, the EP is called Club Rompas. The tracks don't really mean anything. They're just fun. They go hard. Like, most of it's kind of a bit faster. I've been kind of getting around a lot more of that speedier stuff. So I thought I would experiment with that for a bit. You know what? People might like it. People might not. But I'm really proud of where it's sitting. So hopefully everyone likes it. Oh, it comes out on the 28th.
Oh, 28th. Okay. Yeah. A couple
28th.
Weeks.
Yeah, a couple weeks. So
I mean, by the time this episode comes out, probably the EP will be out. So for anybody listening,
perfect.
It's out. Go get it.
I hope you liked it. So
well, the single that's out now, Ecstasy, it's super fun, man. It reminded me kind of some old Dutch house songs that I like kind of the earlier Dutch house stuff.
Yeah, look, that was just like, hey, let's make a fat bass line and then put the weirdest, like just some weird sounds over the top. I think it's like I'm pretty sure the lead is like some weird percussion loop that it's pitched down like 17 semitones or something. So it worked out. I just wanted to make something weird. It didn't really serve a purpose other than that.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm a few people been getting around it, so I'm happy.
Yeah, no, it's a banger, man, for sure. And I'll be stoked to hear the rest of the record too. And where are you at as far as touring and all that? Do you tour a lot in Australia, or is it primarily traveling like across seas, or a mix of both?
Yeah, I play in Australia quite a lot. Obviously, like the US dollar is a lot stronger than the Australian dollar right now, so like it is financially incentivized for me to play in the States at the moment. But yeah, I play in Australia quite a bit, and I kind of try to limit how long I'm overseas for, because like I do love being here with my wife and like, you know, just enjoying Australia life, the trees and everything, which
it's a nice life, man.
Yeah, we got the beaches, we got all that kind of stuff. So,
I mean, the one time, I've only done one Australia tour, but I really fell in love, man. I was like, I was there with my lady as well, and we were like, yeah, we could easily move here. Like, it wouldn't even be hard.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I just love it, like everything about it. So people often ask me if I'm going to move to the States anytime soon, and I would probably say no. Only because I just love it here so much. Like I love America as well and the people, but yeah, we got it pretty damn good over here.
Yeah, you do, man. Absolutely. Well, when was the last time you were in the US?
So I was in the US around EDC. That was the last time I was there.
So not that long ago.
Not that long ago, and I'm heading back over there next week. Actually, playing at Shambhala first, which I'm super excited for. There's actually so many of my Australian friends who are just going. So it's going to be a whole like Aussie Brigade meetup thing for that.
Oh, that'll be great,
that entire
man.
thing. I'm so excited. Also, like finding out that it's an alcohol-free festival, which is like never before heard type of thing in Australia.
Right.
It's
not
like
even really a thing in North America either, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super curious. I've heard nothing but amazing things, so super excited for that. And then, got another 2 weeks of shows in the States after that, which should be super fun. Living the life, living the dream.
Yeah, dude, it's everything's going good, man. Is anything not going good? Is there anything you're like, this is something I wanna work on, whether it's professional or personal or any of that?
Well, I'm trying to cut down on my drinking quite a lot. That's been a big like focus of mine. As a seasoned drinker of the last like decade, it's like had its ups and downs.
I mean, Australians legendarily pretty good at drinking.
Yeah. The hardest part is just like convincing other people that you just like don't want to drink. Because
nobody believes you.
Yeah, people just like love to twist your arm. But yeah, I've been cutting down on that a bit, trying to like keep healthy. Because like, man, I don't know how some of these DJs are in such good shape. Like it is just, it boggles my mind. So I'm trying to keep up. Like, you know, got to keep the complexion nice and trim and youthful.
Of course,
for the gram. As you would know, it's a nice selling point if I can get in shape. So
yeah, man, those filters can only do so much, you know.
I know, that's right. People going to start to get suspicious if I do too many kitty cat face filters.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and then you roll up to the party looking like the crypt keeper or something.
That's right. Or the Gigachad filter. I have been using that. I have been using that a little bit too much. So
people are pretty. I feel like we're reaching the saturation point of the Gigachad filter.
Yeah, that's right. The problem is I can't stop. Like I'm borderline obsessed because not only does it make your chin look good, it smooths your skin out as well. So.
Well, you got to figure out a way that you can like at the same time you're cutting out drinking, you're cutting out the Gigachad filter, you know?
I know, but that's just like stone cold sobriety you're talking about there. I can't I need at least one vice. You know,
it's true. I mean, so maybe we gotta, you know, it's like how they give you like methadone for heroin recovery. You know, we gotta we gotta wean you off onto a different filter. You know.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm all ears. If anybody's listening and they have a suitable filter replacement for me, please hit me up.
Let us know. Let us know. Because I think that's what it is, man. It's just about like a less extreme filter. And then eventually we work it down to where it's just you.
Also, maybe next I'll move to like the bold glamour one of TikTok. You know, it gets you looking pretty good. Then from there, maybe to one that just smooths the skin lightly.
Mm-hmm.
And then straight down to nothing. Just raw, unfiltered odd mob.
I like it, dude. Well, I had a similar thing with drinking a while back. I don't actually drink much anymore, but for my first several years of touring, I was hitting it pretty hard. And for me, what worked, I don't know if this would work for you or for anybody else, but I kind of just after a while made a separation in my mind where I just straight up don't drink at shows anymore. It's just not even a question of whether I will or not. I just don't. But then otherwise, like, I drink socially, and I ended up actually, now I enjoy the social drinking more and I enjoy the shows more because it's kind of just two separate things. Like it's not bleeding into different parts of my life anymore.
Yeah. I have found that like, if I just straight up tell people like I don't drink, even though that's not the truth, like, I do drink from time to time, but it's just, you get way less questions from people if you say like, I don't drink, or because the second you say like, oh, I'm not drinking tonight, it's just like, it becomes a whole thing.
Yeah. You got to have a conversation. There might be the annoying guy who wants to, being like, oh, come on, you could blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's the worst. You can't leave the crack open for somebody to get their foot in there,
Oh man, drink promoters and things like that, they're just absolute beasts on the piss.
Of course.
So you can't leave them any wiggle room or they'll find a way.
It's the word. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a literal zero tolerance policy,
Yeah. So yeah, I'm trying to do my best. I'm not trying to get all preachy or anything. I'm just
no.
I've been touring for like doing this as a job for like almost 10 years. So I need to learn how to cope without drinking every weekend.
Yeah, man. So you could do it another, 20, 30, 40 years, right? Like we're doing this as a marathon, not a sprint.
That's right. That's right.
Well, is there anything else you want to get out there? Anything else we didn't talk about?
Anything that I really want to talk about? Nothing really. I just hope, all the listeners have a great like rest of their year. I hope you have a great day. Like I think we should all try to be nice to each other, as cringe as that sounds. All the cliche stuff.
Yep. It's true though. You can't say that stuff too much.
If you're a musician person and you have like a musician friend, like, and you maybe haven't spoken to them in a while, just shoot them a message. Like I recently got back from a gig interstate where I was chatting to like some friends I've been friends with in the music scene for quite a while. And we just had like this really uplifting conversation. We were both just gassing each other up, and afterwards he's like, man, I just like really needed that. Like I feel so inspired about music again. Like I just feel like excited. I'm like, you can have those conversations whenever you want. You just got to like make time.
Dude.
So, if you got musician friends, hit them up. You'll find that you'll get buzzed yourself.
Check up. And I will say, let me add on to that. I want to make a stand for no more surface level green room conversations with artists, that kind of thing. I'm so done with it. And we're all like, it's so easy to just be like, hey, how are you? Oh, I'm good. How you doing? How's the family? Whatever. And, everyone's just like, oh, good. And you kind of don't talk about anything. And then you leave and don't see the person for another year or whatever. And I'm kind of done with that, man. I want to get deep right off the bat. Even if we're just going to talk for 10 minutes, I want to go there.
Yeah. I mean, it's so good. And just remember, if you're a music person out there, literally everybody goes through the exact same like the same motions, like the same waves. Literally everyone. Doesn't matter how big they are. I'm sure they're all having the exact like same thought processes that you are. So, yeah.
Yeah. 100%, man. No,
yeah,
it's
my friends who, you know, they're not touring acts or anything just yet, but, you know, we'll be chatting. They're like, wow, I didn't realize that you were also worried about those exact same things. I'm like, yeah, nothing ever changes really. Like,
oh, dude, of course
you're just
not.
like playing more shows and like, you know, making a bit more money from that kind of stuff. But the root like sentiment for everything usually just stays the exact same. The creative process is always the same. Like we all have the same thoughts.
Yeah,
we all
and
go
nobody
through the
knows
motions.
nobody knows what they're doing at any level.
No,
you know,
nobody does.
Even at the high levels, they don't know what they're doing, and it's easy to forget or overlook that. But it's always true. Nobody has any idea.
Oh yeah, man. There's probably some like up and coming producer out there who's been producing for like 3 months, and they probably know something that I don't. So like, not everyone knows everything. There's so many different ways to do it. Let's just have fun. Support the homies.
Have fun. Support the homies. I mean, that's about where we can leave it. I think. That's the best message. Well, dude, this was great, man. Thank you for doing an early morning pod.
Thank you for having me. This is actually the perfect time because I've got a dinner party tonight. So
oh, nice.
We're gonna go do the shopping, get everything ready. Need to figure out what to do with this air conditioner.
That's a fucking big air conditioner, man.
It was a hand-me-down / gift from my brother-in-law. Like they didn't need it anymore. And I was like, you know what? I need an air conditioner. And then I think I've used it like twice because it's just so bulky. Like I have to.
It's probably loud too, right?
Oh, it is loud as anything. And the temperature control doesn't really work. So it only knows how to go ice cold and nothing else. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like I've got like a really crappy version of the robot from Doctor Who just sitting in the corner of my room staring at me.
Right. Yeah. And all it could do is just douse you with freezing cold air.
Yeah. I'll be like, is his name Dr. Freeze? The villain of Batman?
Oh, is it Dr. Freeze? Maybe it is Dr. Freeze. All I know is that all I can think of is Arnold Schwarzenegger saying, "Nice to meet you."
Nice to meet you. That'll be me. I'm just like preparing myself to be like the Iceman, the Wim Hof of dance music.
Well, I mean, not to bring too many elements into this, but you know, Arnold kind of has that Gigachad chin. You know,
hey. So maybe I could be the next Dr. Freeze.
I'm just saying, if music doesn't work out.
Once I get my jaw trainer, it's game over. One of those little dog toys that I can chew on while I'm producing.
Dude, we got to come back and do like a part 2 in a year or so, and your chin is just going to be the whole camera frame.
Yeah, I'll be mumbling all my words because my face no longer works the way it's meant to. Yeah. And damn, I'll look good.
It's your version of like the butt injections, you know?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Beautiful.
Yeah, well, let's leave everybody with that image.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, dude. This was great. And have a great rest of your day, man. I'll talk to you later.
You too. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, man. All right. Peace out, dude.
See ya.